from the Healthy Habits Eating Well on a Budget program here at the Rhode Island Community Food Bank, back with another Healthy Bite. One of the questions that we're often faced with when we go out to our agencies is how can the food that our guests receive at their food pantries be part of a healthy diet for someone living with type 2 diabetes? It makes sense that this is on people's minds, given that according to the Rhode Island Department of Health, in 2017, 9.4% of adults in Rhode Island were living with diabetes. And of that 9.4%, 44.5% were worried about being able to afford nutritious meals. We're here today to help you understand type 2 diabetes and also explain how the food that you receive at our network of food pantries can be used to help reduce your risk of type 2 diabetes or manage your diagnosis. Now, before we get into all of the nitty-gritty, what even is diabetes? There is a lot of information out there, and sometimes it can be really overwhelming. So let's start with the basics. There are 3 different types of diabetes. Type 1, which was previously referred to as juvenile diabetes, occurs when your pancreas doesn't function properly. Type 2, formerly known as adult onset diabetes, occurs when the body doesn't respond to insulin correctly. And then there is gestational diabetes, which occurs during pregnancy. There is no known cause for gestational diabetes, and it usually resolves itself after giving birth. But this does make you more likely to develop type 2 diabetes later in life. Our focus today is going to be on type 2, because with the use of diet and exercise, we can learn how to prevent and manage, and with the help of a doctor, even potentially reverse it. But before we get into prevention, we need to understand how it happens. Our first stop is going to be talking about carbs. Carbohydrates are found in almost everything we eat. Carbs are an essential part of our diet, and they give us the energy we need for our bodies to function properly. Carbohydrates are made up of 3 components: sugars, like sweets, baked goods, and juices; starches, like starchy vegetables, grains, and grain-based foods like bread; and fiber, which helps keep our digestive system healthy without actually being digested. When we eat sugars and starches, our body digests them and breaks them down into glucose. Glucose is used by our cells for energy. But glucose doesn't just slide right into our cells. It needs help from a hormone made by our pancreas called insulin. Insulin acts like a key, opening up the cell to take in the glucose from our blood. When we eat too much sugar over a long period of time, our bodies just cannot keep up. Our pancreas can't make enough insulin to keep up with all of that glucose in our blood. Plus, our cells start to not accept the insulin our pancreas is making, meaning the cells just can't take in any of that glucose. When we have all of this extra glucose hanging around in our bloodstream, we call this having high blood sugar. Over time, this high blood sugar can cause damage to our blood vessels that carry all of our blood throughout our body to our organs, even eventually damaging the organs as well. Uncontrolled type 2 diabetes can lead to problems with vision and circulation. It can even cause nerve damage, kidney damage, heart disease, and even strokes. But while all of that sounds pretty scary, there are plenty of ways that you can prevent or manage your type 2 diabetes. And in some cases, with the help of a doctor, you may even be able to reverse it altogether. But how do we do that? First, we examine our risk factors. Typically, we separate our risk factors into 2 categories. We've got our controllable and our uncontrollable. Our uncontrollable risk factors are those things that we just can't do anything about. That's our age, our gender, our ethnicity, and our family history. But just because we have some of those uncontrollable risk factors doesn't mean a one-way ticket to disease. By managing our controllable risk factors, that is our diet, our weight, our blood pressure, how much we exercise, and whether or not we smoke, we can still protect ourselves. And while all of those are incredibly important, today we're going to focus on 2, diet and exercise. Let's start with exercise. Adults need 150 minutes a week of regular exercise. Now, that doesn't need to be deadlifting at a gym or running a half marathon. When you split it up, it's just a little over 20 minutes a day of moderate exercise. Regular exercise helps us maintain a healthy weight, which helps decrease your risk of developing diabetes. Exercise also keeps your blood pressure in check, which is another risk factor. Just try to get creative and get moving. When it's nice out, bring your workouts outdoors for a nice walk, some yoga in the sun, or maybe a backyard soccer game. And when it gets rainy and cold, bring it indoors for a dance party, a workout video, anything that gets your heart pumping will do the trick. But keep in mind, it's important to fuel those workouts with the right food. So let's move on to diet. Our diets play a key role when talking about diabetes prevention and management. Remember, the foods that we eat affect our blood sugar levels in different ways. While some foods are better than others, there really is no specific diabetic-friendly food. But some foods you can focus on are whole grains, leafy greens, citrus fruits, squash, beans, tomatoes, nuts, and fatty fish. All of those contain essential vitamins, minerals, and nutrients that help prevent spikes in blood sugar, like fiber and healthy fats. In addition, you can find most of those at your local food pantry. Plan for small meals and snacks spread throughout your day, and whenever possible, pair your carbs with proteins and healthy fats. Those combined can keep your blood sugar levels as steady as possible. Now that we have all of our groundwork laid out, let's take all of that information and bring it together to make a healthy meal. Our Healthy Habits pumpkin chili contains 3 different kinds of beans, tomatoes, pumpkin, and olive oil. All of those add up to a source of steady energy for us throughout the day without any blood sugar spikes. Let's jump in.